Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Today's video, we're going to be preparing for the upcoming fusion. I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks on what you guys need to do right now. If you guys want to snag this upcoming fusion, it's going to be Gretel Hagbane. So she is a Sacred Order damage dealing champion right here. So Gretel Hagbane. She looks pretty decent from first look. She has a partner bonus with Hansel. So, you know, Hansel and Gretel, the old, I guess, children's story about going into the woods, finding a witch. I think she lives in a candy house and she was trying to lure them into her house so that she can cook them and eat them or something. But yeah, anyways, very spooky stuff for people to be afraid of. But there she is. It's not going to be a video about her, but how to get her. So I will be talking about just mainly preparing for her fusion. I did get confirmation from Plarium that this is actually going to be a traditional fusion. So traditional fusion means that it's going to be a fusion like this, where you have to develop rares into epics, and then develop the epics and then fuse the epics together into the rare, into the legendary. At this moment, we don't know what epics and legendaries are required for the fusion. So we don't know which affinity we need to focus on. So this is important because we actually need to know the potion requirement to fully ascend the pieces so that you can fuse them together. Keep in mind, I will be providing a spreadsheet. It's from Cold Brew Gaming. So I'll provide a spreadsheet from him, but basically he has a potion calculator so that if you guys really want to deep dive into it, if you guys are really strapped for potions, for example, then you guys will be prepared. That's one thing you guys can prepare in advance, is basically make sure you guys have enough potions to complete a fusion like this. The biggest thing that you have to be aware of is any type of traditional fusion, I believe, requires 12 of these big potions. So you guys definitely need to prepare that somehow, whether it is saving them up. So basically don't do any type of, ascending right now that uses some of these big potions, or you can, convert some energy right now to basically farm the big potion keeps to get some of those big potions. So that's something you can do to prep right now, but basically just be aware that it will be a traditional fusion which requires potions. So you guys don't want to get stuck later on looking for potions. Get started on that today. All right, so after that, let's talk about some general advice for fusions in general. So for fusions nowadays, we're looking at about 3 artifact enhancement events. This means it's going to cost you on average about 20 million per artifact enhancement event, which means it's going to be a total of about 60 million silver required for the whole event. Keep in mind, this is over 2 weeks. You guys can definitely start preparing for these artifact enhancement events by basically not leveling your gear. Save all your leveling for these events. You guys should not be focusing on leveling gear at this moment. So make sure you guys save those crafts. You guys can also prepare some additional silver by emptying your forge. Yes, you should probably wait for forge gameplay during CBC, so you guys can maximize points and all that. But getting some extra silver from your crafts is very, very helpful. Another way you guys can get silver quickly is by keeping your inventory stash maintained. So right now, you guys can take the week you have to basically, grind up some silver by cleaning out your stash. It's very, very important to do so on a regular basis, just to make sure that you guys have enough silver to play this game. It's probably recommended that you start any kind of fusion with about 20 million silver just to start, and then the rest of your silver will come from you grinding the dungeon divers in the fusion events. So dungeon divers in the fusion events, there's usually 3. And they usually cost about 3,700 points, which is the equivalent of about 5,500 to 6,000 energy, depending what level you are doing. So for dungeon divers, obviously you're going to need some big stacks of energy. You only have 1 week to prepare if you have no energy right now. Keep in mind, there are things that you can kind of set up so that you can complete the fusion a little bit more, more organized. You can have more organized energy for those events. For example, you have the clan shop here, you have 1,000 energy up for grabs, so make sure you guys grab this in 3 days. If you guys are really strapped for energy, it might even be worthwhile to even just hold the 1,000 energy instead of using it, but definitely make sure you guys grab this 1,000 energy. The other thing you guys can do is basically set up your timer on your tag team energy so that you guys have this 300 available during the fusion at least twice. So if you pull this early during your fusion, you get 300, and it has a 1 week cooldown, and then you'll have it again for the fusion events for the second week. That's kind of like just a organizational tip, just to make sure you guys have that available to you. After that, you guys can definitely start looking for things like Curse City. Curse City, you guys can set up stages where you have energy available to you. Save those stages to be completed during the fusion events so that you guys have extra energy that way. Outside of that, you guys should be maintaining like keeping your any kind of promo energy. You guys should save that. Any kind of login pots. What I mean by login pots are those free gifts that we get every other day. So you see this free gift. You should be saving these whenever you can for fusions, or of course special events and all that stuff. In this case, we do have 1 week to still save those mini packs or whatever, and then save those pots if you have any. So you're going to pick up a small handful of pots along the way. Make sure you guys save those for the Dungeon Diver events, which are the heaviest energy grind. And then of course the obvious thing to save is your gems. Allow yourself to use gems during Dungeon Diver events for energy if you guys need it. Pay close attention to the schedule and calendar to make sure you guys are using energy at the right time, so you guys can be double dipping or triple dipping your energy. We don't know the calendar right now, so we can't really say, but definitely pay closer attention to the calendar when you guys are planning to spend your energy. Okay, so we talked about artifact enhancement, we talked about dungeon diving, so those are energy and silver management. The next one will be training. So training management, you guys should always be trying to do some training during your downtime. So if you guys find events like, for example, Ice Golem turn attack, you guys don't really like the Ice Golem, you guys are diverting your energy elsewhere, maybe divert some energy into the champion training event so you guys can level up some food. You guys don't need to complete the whole thing, you guys don't need to win the thing, just level up some food, get some stuff prepared. You guys have a week to do so. You guys can also participate in these events. So like, for example, Ice Golem tournament, Ice Golem event. It is undead only, but I'm going to show you guys what I'm doing right now just to make it super easy for myself. I'm basically just solo farming with one champion and then just building up 4 food along the way. In terms of overall points and energy efficiency, I'm getting about 2 points per energy. So the whole the event, all the rewards in this event will cost me about 2100 2200 energy, and I'll be building food along the way. The drawback of this kind of strategy with farming these super low levels is that you don't really get super strong gear. The upside is it's 100% completion, it's super quick, and you develop 4 food at the same time. So this is kind of what I'm doing right now, just preparing food. I'm going to finish these events just using saved energy, and I think it's a good idea to start building up some food now if you guys are still interested in doing the fusion. Like I said, it's a week away, so I'm doing the champion training at the same time as doing the Ice Golem. In the same kind of strategy for the dragon turn attack, it's going to be Night Revenant. Let's quickly touch on that if you guys want to do that. So Night Revenant actually has some really good options for dragon farming. You can do Theodore. Theodore's excellent dragon farmer. A fully decked out Theodore can do dragon hard 8 very, very easily. I don't think he can do hard 10 or anything like that. But by himself, he can farm, by himself, he can do stuff on hard 8 very easily. Keep in mind, it is turn attack, so you don't really want to have somebody that takes too long. So for example, Theodore might take too long, but you are grinding food at the same time, so it might be worth it. It really depends what you value most, right? Because you'll be spending more energy to try to get the rewards from the turn attack, or you can spend less energy and grind it faster, but then you make less food. So here's a bit of a drawback there. The other champions for the Night Revenant that are really good for this kind of stage with food is Tomb Lord. Tomb Lord can do normal, normal or mid or low dragon, hard, by himself with food, relatively consistently. He does need quite a bit of stats though. He needs 100% crit rate, accuracy, resistance, speed. So he needs quite a bit of stats, but he can definitely get there and get the job done as well. Some other champions that can do it would be combinations of the poison champions. So for example, Cavalax is really good. You could bring Cavalax Theodore, for example. It could be a really fast speed team where Cavalax applies poisons and then Theodore explodes them. So Night Revenant, you definitely have some options to complete the dragon turn attack. It just depends if you want to bring food. And I think bringing food to prep for the fusion makes sense, whether it be done through the dungeons or done through the existing training event we currently have right now. All right, so we talked about silver training. We talked about engine and energy management with the dungeon divers. Now let's talk about one of the most important things about completing fusions, or the most important thing that will affect your success rate in completing fusions, and that is shard management. So usually in fusions, we are facing down at least 2 summoning events, usually, unless you win a tournament or something, or you have a very generous fusion structure layout from Plarium that allows us to skip one of the summon events. But usually we have 2. One is usually a champion chase and one is usually a summon rush. So you got to make sure you got to have enough shards, either shards for just straight pulling, or make sure you guys have enough these fusible champions. So for example, fusing the rares might be worthwhile for you if you guys have saved up some of these uncommons. I think it's a little bit inefficient to fuse up uncommons into rares, but saving the rares to fuse into the epic, I think, is very nice. Broadmaw is worth 350 points for the champion chase. Keep in mind that he is a void epic, so he's worth a little bit extra points. Always good to have some pieces laying around. See, for example, I have some pieces laying around here ready to go. Yeah, I can make quick work of champion chase just by saving up some of these rares so that I can fuse Broadmaws. The other thing you guys can save for champion chase points is these fragment summons. So each one of the legendaries ready to go is 500 free points. For champion chase in general, it's roughly about 3,000 points to complete. So you need about 6 of these Legos, or a combination of these Legos plus Broadmaws plus shards, for example. So always a good idea to save some of these champions that you don't really need. For example, like Timid. Timid's been around since last year. So I've had this guy for a year, and I know some people that have champions saved up for even longer. So to keep that in mind, this is an easy source to complete the champion chase easily. But this requires some prep. But if it's your first fusion, you won't have access to these. You guys will probably be relying on shards in general. I recommend for champion chase events, basically, which keeps track of points per rarity of champion that you pull the lower value shards for the champion chase event, because it gives your account the opportunity to basically high roll. What that means is that you will pull a much higher rarity champion from a very low value shard. So in this case, the mystery shard is also a good candidate to pull for the champion chase, because you can high roll into the rare champion, which gives you 10 points instead of 1 point. Ancient shard, same thing. You can get a legendary, which high rolls up to 500 points instead of the usual 10 points you get from a rare. So these 2 shards are very good for champion chase, and the higher you go, the less efficient it gets. If there's a good event, for example, like a 2x void event, and void shards become very, very valuable for champion chase. Always keep your highest value shard available for the summon rush. In the summon rush event, each shard is worth points relative to its rarity. It doesn't matter what it pulls, it's just the value of its rarity. So something like the sacred shard gets most value from summon rush, because the chance of it high rolling is very low. You're always almost always going to get a epic and a very low chance at a legendary. So the value of the sacred shard will come from the summon rush. Usually summon rushes for these type of events is between 2,500 points or 3,000 points, which means it's going to be about 5 or 6 sacred shards worth of points. keep that in mind. It also can be done with other, a mix of shards, but the summon rush event 100% needs to be done with shards. So you need shards going in to be able to complete about, I would say, 3,000 points worth, give or take. And you will need some kind of combination of fusions, fragments, and shards to complete the champion chase portion. Keep in mind also, since this is a traditional fusion for Greta, you can save pieces of these fusible champions, and you can save pieces of the fusible champions from Greta and save those towards the champion chase event. So those are some quick tips for you guys to get some easy points for this type of traditional fusion. Usually the champion chase will at least allow you to fuse at least one epic along the way towards the fusion and towards the champion chase. So we can have a quick look at the calendar right now. This week we have a summon summon rush event. And usually how it goes is summon rush, champion chase, summon rush, champion chase. That means we're going to start next week's fusion, which starts on the 31st. We will start the fusion with a champion chase, which is kind of the worst option because it doesn't allow you to build up the fusion epics and then, save them all up and then fuse them for easy points during the champion chase. So if the champion chase is up front, we won't have that opportunity to save up all the epics. We might be able to get one, but it might take you until the last day. So definitely wait until the very last day of the champion chase before you commit to getting points for it. Okay, so just some quick tips here. I'll go over these tips once the schedule is out, and then we'll go over it more in detail. But these are very general tips how to complete fusions in general. Also keep in mind that the fusion event is, at least 2 weeks long usually. This means you have time. You have some time to accumulate resources that you don't have currently, which, could be the difference between you completing the fusion or not. So right now we have 1 week until the fusion, and then we have 2 weeks until the end of the fusion. Therefore, you actually have 3 weeks until the actual end of the fusion. So you have 3 weeks worth of gathering resources to try to complete the fusion if you so choose to right now. So it's not the end of the world if you are looking at your resources and you're saying, I have no chance at getting this fusion. It just takes a little bit of planning because you do have some, future resources to come. In the meantime, don't sabotage yourself by jumping into these events with, heavy energy spends or heavy shard spends if you plan on doing the fusion right now. A lot of these events, they look nice. They are pretty nice and generous with some of the rewards. There's some more rare rewards here, more end game rewards. But don't jump into them if you are planning to do the fusion, because these events are basically put here to try to take some of your resources away. But like I said, guys, these are just some general tips. We will be going over more specific tips, especially with the scheduling and the event planning when the calendar is released sometime next week when the fusion starts. But yeah, anyways, guys, hopefully this catches you guys at a good time. Hopefully you guys are having a good Friday. Hopefully you guys learn something and take something away from this so that you guys can prepare for the fusion. It is more specifically catered towards the Greta fusion, but it is more general advice as well. So it will help you guys just kind of get the fusion juices going in your brain so that you guys are have some of these tips more top of mind. But they do apply to any kind of fusion, not just the Greta fusion in general. Quick last comment about some of these news notes here. So they are mentioning that there is a Halloween Deck of Fate, there is a Nightmare Summon Pool event, and a chance to fuse the scary Gretel. So the two main points here is a Halloween Deck of Fate and a Nightmare Summon Pool. So a Nightmare Summon Pool is probably going to be a Prison Pool event. Not sure what Nightmare means. It could just mean like it's a spooky champion pool, but there will be a Prism event somewhere here, and it's probably going to be lining up with a Sand Devil event. We just had a Sand Devil event end earlier this week. So my guess is that they're going to take a week off from the Sand Devil and then put the Sand Devil event on the second week of the fusion. And we do have a Halloween Deck of Fate. The Halloween Deck of Fate, it can go either way, right? It can be part of the fusion where you have to collect something from the Deck of Fate. I don't think it's going to be part of the fusion. I don't think they'll offer fusion pieces in the Deck of Fate because it seems not right for them to offer like a card that flips for a rare, for example. So most likely the Deck of Fate will be a completely separate event, but it will be during the fusion. Some people have speculated that Gretel's partner will be part of the Deck of Fate, and it could be a guarantee. In the past, we've had guaranteed champions being part of the Deck of Fate. In the past, it has cost between 20 Sacred's worth or 25 Sacred's worth in the event of Fatalis, which was a Void legendary. He was worth 25 Sacred's worth of points in the Deck of Fate. But for a regular normal legendary, it was 20 Sacred Shards worth of points. This might not be something that you are interested in or capable of doing, but this is something that is probably going to happen, obviously during the fusion. So keep that in mind. That might be something you guys are interested in, a guarantee champion from the Halloween Deck of Fate instead of going for Gretel, for example. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for the video. It's more of a general advice, more catered towards the upcoming fusion. Let me know in the comments below if you guys like this kind of video. It's more of a reminder video as well. If you guys like it, maybe I'll try to do these more often, following up, the initial announcement of, fusions in general, and just offering you guys some more reminders along the way to give you guys a little bit of more prep time, basically. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching to the end. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend lined up. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.